covering all your favorite parts of the 50-yard fight. This is the Inside the Walls podcast with Zach Kyleman and Jim Bernier.
Hello and welcome everyone to the latest edition of the Inside the Walls podcast. Zach Kyleman in here as always in the hosting chair for these episodes, as we're going to bring you an exciting episode that kind of gives you an overlay of one of these new teams. Now, if you've been following along with us in the NAL, you know, we're expanding to 8 teams this season for 2023. It is going to be a massive year with plenty of new faces and plenty of talent flying around with the second year of Ironman football. As I want to highlight this as we bring in the team of the hour and, of course, my co-host of the hour with Jim Renier, as we have everyone here. Well, we should have everybody here at some point, it looks like. But to put this together, we have the collective big group of the West Texas Warbirds joining us. We got an all-star lineup of guys that will give you all the inside scoops and talks about West Texas and the Odessa community. As you can see on the bottom of the screen, we have head coach Tate Smith joining us. So welcome, head coach. Glad to have you on here with us. We also have Zach Bugg, GM and managing partner for the West Texas Warbirds. And we have Leif Curtis, who's one of the co-owners alongside Michael Curtis as well for the West Texas Warbirds, or Leif Curtis. He told me to change that, to tell me that, and I am not going to leave this recording without getting that one corrected. I apologize, sir. Guys, welcome on in. Again, thanks for joining. This is a big effort to get everyone in order to do this show. I'll start out with Leif. I know there's a lot of people here, so I don't want to be careful with the talk over. But Leif, how are things? I know you're in Colorado Springs right now, right?
Yeah, I'm on vacation here, just using my time before I lose it for my other job. So, yeah, just taking a little bit of time, getting things right, and just enjoying the week.
Hey, I completely understand. I'm about to get some R&R myself with my own job, and I'm getting ready for that. Everyone can relate to that. Zach, I know you're currently working over in Odessa with the Warbirds, at least coming up as this recording's coming. You got a youth football program coming up, right?
Yes, sir, that's correct. That's what we're gearing up for this weekend.
Nice. And Coach Tate, I know things I assume are going pretty smoothly with the off-season, working with the community relations as well for yourself. I mean, NAL coaches are very involved community-wise and, of course, as well with roster signings and everything of the like.
Right, sticking with the recruiting trail and making sure everything's in plan for the first day of fall camp.
All right. Well, things are looking to move along, and we will get a bit more discussion across the board with everybody here. I want to kick things off with, I think, what a lot of people are asking about, is, at least if you're talking about expansion teams. I'll go to you, Leif, here for some background. Process, joining the NAL. You guys have had a unique path, I would say, towards starting up this franchise. You and your family, of course. And now you're here in one of the top 2 largest arena indoor leagues in the country. Talk about the story of the West Texas Warbirds.
Oh, wow. So I originally worked for the Venom, so I worked for the Amarillo Venom and worked for the soccer league as well. Kind of fell into the Odessa market because the people that were running the soccer team in Odessa weren't doing their job, so I also took that team over, as well as my deputy commissioner duties, as well as my Amarillo Venom duties. And then when it came time, I was moving on from the league. I was doing all that good stuff. And then they said, hey, let's buy this soccer team. The soccer team fell through, but of course I knew the CIF. Mm-hmm. So they offered us, an expansion team in Odessa. That was October of 2019. So we know what happened roughly 6 months later. Sat out that year. Did not go back into the CIF. Just weren't good. They were using the Coliseum as a vaccination site, so we couldn't get into the Coliseum really until late May, early June. We played that one season in 2021. Then we played this past season in 2022. For different reasons, I can't get into this 2022 season right now.
Okay.
But, when we got kicked out of that league, for no reason at all, well, really, I can say that the reason that we got kicked out of the league is because we refused to pay the league's portion of the championship travel. So we got kicked out of the league for that. Had the unfortunate incident with the Dallas Prime. We moved on from that, and really at that point it was between the IFL and the NAL, and where we were trying to go with our organization, what we wanted to see happen with the game itself, try to differentiate ourselves. The NAL made sense. We have nothing against the IFL. We think the IFL is good in their own right, but for what we wanted to do, the NAL made sense. We enjoyed our times with Chris and Rob and all the rest of the other partners. And then it happened really, really fast. I think Zach can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think within a week of turning in our application, we had our expansion fee sent in and we were making plans in Albany. So, so that's where we're at right now.
Wow. I mean, did talk about the accelerated timeline. I mean, I think that's what's just nuts is, it kind of, for you guys, it seems like it's come so fast, but I mean, everything we've seen so far, you guys look very prepared to take on this challenge. And not to mention, you guys, we talked about this with San Antonio last year, and I'll let Jim get a next question in after this, is that, you guys are kind of anchoring a westward movement for the NAL that a lot of people still are saying, hey, will this pan out? Because I mean, the league, it's been trying to get expansion, settled and staying together. And the thing is, everyone goes just like we're talking the old manifest destiny of the West here for the U.S., even like the NAL, move out there, go this way. How do you see yourselves with, say, yourself and San Antonio out in Texas being those anchors?
Well, I mean, to your first point, it was always important for us, no matter what league we were in, that we were going to conduct ourselves professionally. And so that way, when we made the moves to the higher leagues, it wouldn't be a culture shock. It wouldn't be a huge adjustment for us. And I think that's what's going to serve us really well, making this move, and it's going to make us a good anchor along with San Antonio. San Antonio, they changed their ownership up 4 games into last season, I think, and you saw the change in their direction. You're going to get a lot of the same. People think we're new, but we're not new. We've got an organization of people who have been doing this for a while now. Call each other out on our stuff, and we want to make sure that we're always striving for excellence. So you've got 2 really good anchors out here in the West that are just going to help propel this into the next growth that we're at.
So my question, you brought it up earlier. I wasn't going to bring it up until you did. When you guys were announced as the expansion team in the league, a lot of the people who follow this league remember that incident against the Dallas Prime and how it was almost like a black-eyed organization. Can you tell the fans how your organization is not what you seen that 3-minute news clip that was, spamming the internet on that April day?
I mean, really, just look at the tape. You see towards the end of it, most of our team is walking off of the field into the locker room. There's only a handful of guys. That handful, and not even a handful of guys. I think it was 2. 2 guys were in the skirmish at all, and really it was just breaking them up and getting them off of the person that was ejected. So both our guy and their guy got ejected. Their guy came after our guy, and it spilled over from there. As they were walking out of the arena, they went after our guy. So really, a lot of it was just getting them back into their locker room, and then we had it all calm down, and then the fan with the chair exploded it again. Still don't know who that fan is. Would love to know who that fan is. But that, people say that's somebody that's in our organization. It's not. The 2 players that were in the skirmish, they were dealt with. They're no longer part of the organization. It's not who we are. It's never who we claim to be. It's never who we had been before. Really, it's hard to really lay it out there any plainer than that. Tate doesn't run that kind of team. Me and Zach don't run that kind of organization. It's never been who we are. It's not what we're about. We've taken precautionary steps to make sure that teams no longer have paths that cross when we're going to locker rooms. you're pretty much off the field and in your locker room with our new arena setup. So, just different things, unfortunately, that we didn't have, a good foresight on that could have been prevented, but we've taken care of it now. The Dallas Prime do a lot of good things for their community. But at the same time, we're coming into NAL where that's not going to be a problem, right? We're not going to run that kind of organization. And I always speak the truth. If I rub people the wrong way, sorry if you're watching this podcast from the Dallas Prime, but it is what it is. We find out after the fact that they're kind of known for it, especially when they're getting beat 50-6. So, but yeah, not us. Guys, Zach, Tate, you guys can chime in on that as well if you guys have anything to add to it.
No, okay. So let's get moving along. So the Warbirds, the mentality, the name. What was the path to get that name, the Warbirds, and how does it resemble the city of Odessa?
I'll tell you. I'll pass it to Tate after the name was a naming contest. So,
Okay.
But as far as the Warbird mentality, that's Coach Smith, and I'll let him talk to that.
All right.
So I think that the naming behind it, when you think of Warbirds, you obviously, our logo and everything is very military related. A lot of people out in West Texas have military ties. People who I graduated with, everybody has military ties at some point in time throughout their life. But for us, it's our mentality as how we play. And that mentality is from day one when we start our meetings, our Zoom meetings, and breaking down our plan, our goals. That's kind of where we start, and it's just a structure. It's kind of the West Texas, football mentality, way of life out here in where we live, and knowing, Friday Night Lights, high school football is really big out here. Obviously, Texas Tech, they're rocking and rolling again. So it's just that people around here want football to be great football, not just okay or good. They want great football. And so when you have that right at your back, you've got to be able to have that standard set at a high level, and got to get guys to be able to match that intensity and play at that level.
Mm-hmm. Coach Ted, you kind of jumped into a little bit of this question I wanted to ask. Just, you're a native of Odessa. Describe the Odessa, Texas community there.
Well, people in Odessa, Midland, surrounding areas, we don't have a professional football team. The closest one is 4.5 hours away, the Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
The closest, MLB team is 4.5 hours away in Arlington. So when you start looking at things like that, people rely on high school football, and they fall on that. That's where they go. That's what they're used to. And being a high school football coach, I also coach at Permian as a wide receiver coach, passing game coordinator, whatever title they want to give me over there. I really could care less. Just coaching kids and being able to coach a game of football, that's what I care about, and giving back to the community. But at the same aspect, people in this town love football, and they want to come watch football. They obviously, a lot of people live back in the glory days of Odessa Permian, back when they were winning state championship after state championship. The book Friday Night Lights obviously was written in 88, 89. Mm-hmm. They won a state national championship the very next year that my cousin was a part of. He played in the AFL. He also played in the NFL. He played arena football under the Tampa Bay Storm and the San Jose SaberCats, where I got a lot of, our stuff from. And then, going into his brother played at Permian. He won in 91, won a state championship. I played quarterback at Permian, where I was part of the team that brought Permian kind of back on the map after them being dormant, not making the playoffs for 10 years. And then so that propelled me. And then my brother was on the team in 08 that was undefeated until they played Allen, which our assistant head coach, our wide receiver coach, he's a native of Odessa too. He used to coach at Permian, but then he coached at Allen with Kyler Murray and everything, and they beat Permian to get to the state championship game. So football here, getting back to the original question, is very vital to our community. When football is really, really good in the fall, things are really, really good in the area. And if things are down, oil field's down or whatnot, football is what they lean on. And when that's really good, people are really excited around town. Now in the spring, when we used to have the West Texas Roughnecks, I was privileged to be an assistant coach under that organization. That when things were really good in the spring with the Roughnecks, things were good year round because we had really good football in the fall. You came and you got to watch an organization with the Roughnecks that was known for being very dominant at what used to be called the Rough House when we were the Roughnecks, and so now we've kind of carried that legacy on, and now it's the Hangar, and we just want to keep winning football games and putting on a show for the community and the people of West Texas.
Nice. I got to ask, and I want to bring Zach into this conversation with here because I think this is great for GM and coach. Odessa you're just being in Texas. You talk about the state itself. I have to imagine recruiting and talent level, at least for the state, it has to be an excellent place to at least look around and say, okay, we have a plethora of a player pool of guys that can be from larger high school programs or programs that have very much more dedicated football programs in this country, right in the heartland of, a football hotbed in the U.S. And Zach, if you would like, I'd kick you off. Like I said, I feel like we've been leaving you for the last piece of this.
This question's honestly more for Tate. I do help out in areas that I need to help out on, but he knows what he wants in his players. And if he asks me for my opinion, of course, I give it anytime he wants it. He may not like it at the end of the day, but, his record speaks for itself. So whatever he wants in his players, that's what he gets. And as in recruiting wise, it's been a blessing on our side of the world. A lot of players are wanting to play for us, and that's players recruiting players. So when you sign a player that a lot of these other guys like, it works in our favor as well. But whenever you have a coaching staff like Tate says, and all the expertise and the knowledge and the years of experience that they have and the history behind West Texas, there's a lot more to it, and it makes recruiting a lot easier in reality. But I'll let Tate touch on that because this is his team at the end of the day, whether I'm the GM or not.
Oh, absolutely. Love to hear it, Coach Tate. What you got for us on this?
Well, recruiting is very vital, obviously, to this sport. You are able now in the NAL, being one of the top, the top, I think, in my opinion, the top arena football program or conference that there is. And, that's how I learned, was true arena football. So this is as close to true arena that we can get. Obviously, there's several rules that are, still a little different from the original game, but very, very, very similar if you go back and you look even back in the 80s of the arena game, going to the 90s, early 2000s. Obviously, it changed over time. The game changes. But these guys, being from Texas and having the resources that we have in Texas, obviously with Texas high school football, knowing guys, being able to call and even a guy like Kerry Starks being from Houston area. Well, I knew a guy, our head coach is from Houston at Westfield, he was at Galena Park North Shore. And then he had a buddy that coached him back in high school that now is at Westfield. So it's just kind of a deal where we can communicate that way, these guys knowing their high school background. And then obviously a lot of high school coaches now are moving to the college ranks. And what I mean by that is they're a quality control, or they're a high school analyst, or they're a high school director of high school relations, and things like that. So now we can use that to our advantage to call those guys up and say, hey, I got a question about this guy. You may have played against him, or guys from Texas Tech. We got several guys that were at Tech when, our coach Fred has connections at Tech still. So we're able to use that avenue to help us out in recruiting Texas guys, or even guys that didn't play in Texas, but played against some teams in the Big 12, or played against some teams that are Division II that are in Texas. So that definitely helps out tremendously. Being one of the biggest states in the U.S., it's definitely the pool of athletic ability is phenomenal.
I know.
Well, as they say, Texas, nothing's bigger than Texas. But in football-wise, you do have competition between California and Florida. But still, let's get into the players. Kerry Starks, he was a beast in the NL last year with the Columbus Lions. And I see that you guys brought in the quarterback from I think it's Campbell from Bismarck from last year to compete for the position. What is the mentality? What type of team are you trying to form in West Texas? Because there's different type of mentalities in the NAL. Because Columbus is a very defensive-minded team. Carolina's a very defensive-minded team. People are thinking defense in the NAL is like, what? There's no 24-10 scores. Like, no, if you hold an opponent under 30 points in arena football, you have a pretty good defense. Are you going to be the offense that's going to try to you're going to try and how can I phrase this? Be like what the Jacksonville Sharks were last year. They're not going to stop you. You got to outscore them because that's that type of game. They're going to try to shoot you out. And other teams are trying to play, keep the game under 50 points type of ordeal. How's the Warbirds going to be playing this year, or the mentality? Is it more defensive, more offensive, more excitement, more boringness?
Well, for me, I think it goes back to knowing your opponent, who you're facing. If it's a team that's going to be more defensive minded, going in, tougher to score, obviously there's things that we have to do offensively to be able to attack that team. Obviously, if they're a high scoring offense, and we know that, there's things that we have to do to prepare for that defensively. But to answer your question, how our mentality is we want to be mentally and physically tough football team, which goes back to the West Texas mentality. That's how it was when I started under Chris Williams. That was our philosophy. That's how our philosophy was with Coach Brent's when he was coaching here. When I went down to RGV, when I was in the Deuce with Benny King, that's how our mentality was we want to be mentally and physically tough. And if we can be able to do that at a high level, we're going to be okay. So to answer your question, I can't tell you what we're going to be until I get these guys in here and I know this, that my goal in recruiting and what I asked our recruiting coordinator and defensive coordinator, Coach Jermaine Blakely, and obviously Zach, when we were doing this recruiting process with our position coaches, was if they cannot play both ways or be two-way guys, I don't want them. Because obviously in this league, you can have an offensive specialist or a defensive specialist, but at the end of the day, somebody gets hurt. And then now we got to pull that defense specialist off of him. Can he play on offense and help us out if we need another guy that could potentially play one way if our athletic trainer staff and our doctors clear him to play? It may have to change. So I don't ever want to be in a position where this guy's only a defensive specialist. He can't play. There were several guys that reached out to us that we talked to that, Coach, I just want to be the offense specialist. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I can't tell you if you're going to be that guy or not. It's a week-to-week deal how our coaching staff feels, and it's not just a Coach Smith decision on this. It's all of the position coaches that I have, our coordinators, when we have our meetings. Who is the guys that we need on the field when it's game time to help win the football game? What's the best situation to put us in to win? Guys that I've leaned on for the past 2 years. I've been blessed with our coaching staff. I've only had to hire really 2 new guys in 2 years. And now they're coming back with me. I've got everybody returning. So the teaching curve in the coach's office is nice because we don't have to sit there and break down everything again. They know the expectations from me. They know the expectations from Leif and from Zach. And that makes it very, very easy. Our players were very black and white, very transparent with our players, our expectations. And so when that goes into play, when you play the game, you got to figure it out as the game goes on. Because there's some people like in the previous leagues, Amarillo, they were a score quick, fast, hurrying offense. And we sit there, hey, our goal was we need 2 stops per half to slow them down, and we can win the Texas Cup or the Texas Championship. And we were able to do so. But at the same time, obviously, we know what puts butts in seats, and that's offense. If you have a high-powered offense, people want to come see all the high-powered action. But also we know that, hey, we got to make some stops defensively. And most importantly, I tell the guys all the time is the game of football is meant to be fun. So when you go out and play, have fun doing it.
Right. I mean, look, to me, that's something I've been dying to ask you, and if and when we were going to get this going, which was going to be a win always. But like I said, you're diving headfirst, all of you, into Ironman now. So you kind of highlight already, I think, the challenges with telling people like, hey, look, this is filling a team need first. We do have specialists, but we got to focus on what's best for our team that makes the best possible roster out there. And sometimes that takes maybe some changes or some sacrifices on that one player. You have any more to add on the Ironman game for you yourself, Zach or Leif? I mean, How do you guys view the second year of it returning? It still is ever evolving, but at least to us, it felt like it got better last year in the NAL as time went on when things were getting the system down.
I felt like watching, I guess I'm a film junkie because I go back and I watched it from the very beginning, and I've watched several teams. Obviously, the teams that we're going to face early, obviously Empire and then the Cobras.
Oh, yeah.
Our first two opponents, that were in the championship. Here you go. We get 1 and 2 right out the gate. So let's put our big boy pants on and let's go, right? But
Right.
they're both very good organizations, very good teams. So we got to make sure that all our I's are dotted, T's crossed, and ready to go. But as you look early on, I think that there was some confusion with coaches on how the Ironman rules work, what needs to take place. The good thing for us is that our coaching staff have coached either, coached or played A1 or coached A2. So we understand that scheme, what we're trying to do. Obviously, the big difference is when we were doing it, there was only really one Ironman. The quarterback was separate from that Ironman rule. So
Right.
A little different having, 3 guys on offense, 3 guys on defense, and a special teams player that are considered, that are defense specialists, and everybody else flips both ways. But, I think it kind of, in a sense, makes it easier having that many guys that are just defense or offensive specialists. Now we only have to worry about 5 guys instead of it really being 7 at one time. So I think that, the NAL is doing a great job of trying to, how do we get it where from modern day players, these young players that are only used to playing one side of the ball, how do we get them out of this mindset that, hey, I'm only a receiver or I'm only an offensive lineman. I can flip over and I can play defense, or a linebacker. I'm only a linebacker. That's all I've ever played. Well, you can come over and play fullback and do the same thing. And you never know. It may give you a look to get brought up now with the NFL, the Canadian League, or whatever. We've had several guys that have been able to make that jump and go at least to a tryout and see if they're able to play. So I actually like the league. I like the rules. I like everything involved with it. Makes it very easy for me because my background is all A1, A2. So playing in the IFL with Coach Williams was easy, but for us, we don't change. We haven't changed. You go back, you look at film on us, we're under center, we're 2-by-1 formations or trips formations, and we're under center. We don't get in the gun. I'm not a gun guy. Everything's on timing, and you can play your IFL rules if you want, but that's how we're going to play, and we're gonna have fun doing it.
Yeah, we can't wait to see it. I want to actually bring something up as well. This is from the championship, Leif, and you'll remember this. So when the West Texas Warbirds were announced, it was at halftime during the championship. So Chris Siegfried's bringing you out, and he brings out that they can't wait to keep defending that undefeated record. Putting your guys' money where your mouth is. How do you want to speak on that? I think people have been wanting to hear about that little tidbit.
I mean, between owners and between us and Chris, I mean, there's always that good fun in it, and of course we're not naive enough to not know that we're coming into the big boys. And even so, we look at it every week, and it's something that from front office, from myself to Zach to Coach Smith, to everybody involved, regardless, come Monday or come Sunday morning, we're 0-0. We got to win the next game. It doesn't matter what our record is before. We got to win the next game. So Saturday night, we're 1-0. Sunday morning, we're 0-0. And that's something that we adopt throughout the whole organization. Coach Smith makes it very well known. We make it very well known that let everybody else do the talking. We just need to go out and play the game. But yeah, all that was in good fun. I didn't expect Chris to do that in midfield with the crowd.
Throw a curveball.
I'm sitting there trying to throw Zach in front of it, but then at the end of the day, I just kind of ate it up and just went to my ears. You got to have fun with people. But yeah, the record is what the record is.
I'm actually okay with it. There's a target on our back. At the end of the day, and just puts a little more pressure on our coaching staff to do their thing, to go out there and put the players in a position to win the game. It was an experience for sure. The ownership group of Albany is fantastic outside of what happened at halftime, of course. But we other side of the world, man, life is good. Football players are going to do their thing. I know you guys have seen on Facebook, but like going back on what Leif said, we just want our players to let their playing do the talking. We're not ones to talk. We never have been. That's not who we are. At least from my standpoint, that's not what we're going to be about. So we'll go to the football field and just let it be, let it do the talking. But the owners, we have our little side stuff that we talk and have fun with and stuff like that. But it's all in good fun between us. The coaching staff and football players, they got to do their part, and hopefully it works in our favor.
Oh, sure. Well, I mean, yeah, Zach, still what an intro there. And of course, like, Coach Tate and you guys know, taking on the two previous championship contenders to start the year, and they're playing in the house, and you got Albany fans sitting there going, "Oh, I see how it is." Okay.
We got to go experience their fans and what they're about, but everyone's biased, but West Texas fans are just different. And when they come here for the first time, that's what we're very excited about is them getting to experience our environment. We went over there and they put us on the spot. So hopefully we get to do the same, and hopefully our fans, they're definitely going to be rowdy, but at the end of the day, it's West Texas love, and people will learn that, we're a very loving community outside of that football field, or in the hangar, I should say.
Mm-hmm. I do want to follow this one up, and then I'll let Jim go next year, just because it's a perfect lead in, Zach. What do you put, and Coach Tate, Leif, you're free to, of course, fill into this conversation. What is the ideal hangar atmosphere for you guys, or what's the ideal arena football atmosphere? I think everyone's got some principles of it per each team, but everyone wants their own local flair. That's the beauty of arena still, is that it's got the best of what should be a professional sport with the best of what is on the boots on the ground level, grassroots type of fandom.
I mean, for me, I love, if you come into our arena, it legitimately looks like an airplane. That's why we named it the hangar.
Well, there you go.
And that, I mean, 1,800 people, you go in and it sounds like 6,000, 7,000. It gets loud in there. So, I mean, going to, Albany and just seeing the expansiveness of it, that was a whole new experience. That's something I really enjoyed. But man, I mean, it's a show, right? I mean, outside of the football game, I mean, the football game's a show too, but like, we've got to have fan entertainment, fights, explosions, fun games, fan interaction, a good mascot, which I'm partial to get the best mascot in the world. But yeah, for me, that's me. And Zach's pretty new to it. Zach has been more of a fan experience, so I'll let him talk more on that as well.
On my side of the world, being just a sponsor, the first 2 seasons, really and truly it's about the kids. Around here in West Texas, especially with the Warbirds organization, we're all about the kids. So anything we can do to make it more exciting and more approachable for these kids, that's what our design is going to be, especially going into this season. Yes, there's going to be a lot of, talking and jawing and stuff of that nature, but how can we make it more exciting for kids? And one thing I will say is our coaching staff, especially, Tate, it doesn't matter if he's winning by 2 points or he's winning by 50. He'll walk up to a kid and let him pick a play, and that's the play that he's running. Because at the end of the day, we all are on the same page, that it's about the kids. And then we just love it. So anything we can do that makes it more exciting for kids, that at the end of the day, that's truly all that matters to us. And that's why we, the Warbird Foundation and the youth football tournament this, weekend, doing 100% free for our community. So I guess to put everything in a gist, as you guys can probably tell by now, is if it involves kids and it's exciting for kids, and if kids have an idea to make it even more exciting, we're all about it. And I know Tate can touch up on that for sure.
I think that to answer your first question, and then I'll piggyback off Zach, is every arena has its own mystique or something about it that you remember. And I think that's awesome. When we were back in the IFL, traveling all over the place, it was just Green Bay comes to mind. I really enjoyed playing in Green Bay. It was a cool atmosphere, but there's certain places, just how the fans interact that's what you remember. But for me, Odessa, the fans are different because they're sitting there and they kind of, at the beginning, it depends. If they got to get into the game right away, they will. But if the team's doing good and there's really no need to get too rowdy, they're just kind of relaxed there to watch the show. But as soon as they see that the team may need their help or something to get something going, they're all hands on deck, and here they go. And they're loud. Like Leif said, our arena gets really, really loud. And it does, I mean, like you said, 1,000 fans seems like there's 6,000-7,000 in the hangar. But we were blessed that we've had 30, when we were back with the Roughnecks, we sold the place out and you couldn't even hear yourself think. It was just shaking. And that's where we want to get back to. Obviously, there's steps that we have to take to get back to those days. But obviously, when you're winning, people want to see a winning program and they want to see a winning organization. And more people see that. Going back to what Leif said with kids, me being a high school football coach, being in education, I'm always about giving back to kids. How can this thing relate to kids? And my thing is our players, we really interact with our school district, Dutch County ISD, very, very well. Not only am I a teacher and a coach with ECISD, but my deal is, hey, we're going to go read to kids. We may have to go to the what they call the youth center, the alternative center out there, and take some kids who have some players who may have been in trouble and can relate to those guys and try to help them get out of whatever it is that they're in. But we're all about trying to help from the youth to guys that are fixing to graduate and help them out. It really is special to me now after being the head coach from the start. I know year one, like Leif said, with COVID, they didn't get to play. So really I was the second head coach, but on record, I'm the only coach. So seeing that we had no kids or nobody walking around with anything Warbirds on it, and now I'm at Permian High School and I'm walking down the halls and now kids are wearing our stuff, high school kids. And nice. Then, you go to the mall and you see, kids that are in elementary and they're coming up talking to you. And when kids are talking about what's going on with your organization, you've kind of done something right. And that's where we want to build on. Obviously the black eye from last year with the fight and everything, but things happen for whatever reasons. We're moved past that. And I think that people know now that the structure that we have set up, what we've explained, parents trust us. They understand. Most of our staff now lives in Odessa and are from this area. So, people know us. People trust us. They see us in the community. They know that we coach high school football or used to, or retired high school coaches or college coaches. So they know who we are. They see us in the public. They know, what we're about. And so that makes it very, very easy, I think, for parents, for people in the community to understand that, hey, the game happened and the end of that game versus the prime happened for a reason. Mm-hmm. We understand that we've moved past it. And then now everybody's asking us, hey, when's your next home game? We're ready to go watch Warbird football again. And they're ready to see us play. And I'm excited for it and just thankful that our community make the hangar what the hangar is.
Right. And now you get to advertise all those new and added rule changes that make it for that exciting new game. We already have, hey, you like the 50 yards, you like the pad, you like the walls, you like all the high scoring. Well, now what if we told you there's going to be nets that make things even crazier? What if we told you players have to play two ways? What if we got to tell you that's just going to get more chaotic than it already is on the field?
Right. Right. That, and that stuff actually helps because, kids are all about the wow or the awe factor, right? Mm-hmm. And so now they come in and they're used to seeing, just two goalposts hanging up on both sides of the arena. Now they're fixing to come in, they're going to see, these big nets hung up. And, the first thing that comes to mind is like WWE, cage match, when you think about it. But
here comes Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, exactly. But now they're going to get to see, okay, hey, the ball's kicked off the net, hey, now you can return the ball, or hey, quarterback, instead of us having to draw up some Hail Mary play and try to catch the ball, now we can throw the ball off the net and we can go up and hey, that's how you end up winning games. And seeing a lot of arena football games won that way. Also seen a lot of arena football games lost that way. But, and having the deuce in play for kickoffs and stuff like that, just a point factor. And understand, I think that at the beginning, we had the Uno in our previous leagues. Now having the deuce, that's a big factor. So them understanding the main concept of the game, I think our fans get. It'll just be a couple of the point issues that, once they figure it out, they're going to understand. And obviously we got those armchair quarterbacks that'll sit there and I'm sure be tweeting and on Facebook questioning why we did what we did. But love it, and that's what makes the game special.
Oh, absolutely.
Before we close out the show, you were talking about kids. I have to say that you have one of the most savage mascots on social media right now. That homeboy has attacked every single organization in the NAL. Like, where's your mascot? At them, and the other team doesn't reply. Whose idea is to get Gunner, and why did you make him so savage for no reason?
Or how'd you train him to be that savage? I guess is the
exactly.
question.
I mean, in reality, he's his own person. So the mascot kind of gets to float and do their thing. As in savage wise, it kind of all started. In reality, there's more behind the story, which hopefully one day you guys can do a podcast and find that side of the world out. But there's more to the story. And then once he heard there's an award that he can actually win besides winning, national championships, and he can win the NAL Mascot of the Year, he took that to heart. And the guy's out to win this thing. And it's just been real fun to see all the mascots in reality kind of go back and forth, trash talking and having a good time and stuff of that nature. So I can't really give the answer on why he's such a savage. I mean, we love it, obviously, on our side of the world. I mean, Tate, I have an answer because I don't.
He's been doing it for so long. I mean, he was the Baylor Bear. His kids are doing mascot stuff now.
Okay.
His daughter's the Baylor Bear, the female Baylor Bear now. I mean, it's in his blood. He's won national championships. We've had him the whole time. I've known him since before I even had the football team. And, Zach touched on the kids aspect of it. That man loves kids. I mean, more than I can even put into words. Like, he will interact with every single kid if it means that he stays extra somewhere. And I think that's what makes it so special about him. But then at the same time, he's funny. I mean, he has a great sense of humor. He can take it as much as he dishes it. And he's willing to learn. And he has respect. And he might give those guys grief, especially Chum or Claw or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, he has great respect for those two guys. And he learned from them. But as far as savagery goes, I think a lot of it just comes from the fact that we turned him loose. Zach and I looked at him and were like, hey, man, it's your show, bro. Go do your thing.
Yeah, we were one of his first targets.
Well, I can't remember the last time I've seen Chum or Claw talk on social. So that alone, I was like, oh, right, it's getting serious in here.
You gotta love
he went after us, and I was like, who's Gunner? Who's this guy? And looking like, oh, it's the mascot from West Texas. And I was like, I think we started something. Then after that, he just started going after Jacksonville, Albany, Carolina, Orlando. He went after the Lions, and I think he went after Fayetteville. It's like, when's the mascot launch in Fayetteville? I think it just started.
We think this is great, by the way. Like, social media engagement as well. I mean, also great mascots. They can bring up the atmosphere of a team and the home atmosphere too. But I think social media wise, for how much more it becomes encompassed in sports, that's such an excellent personality to have in your corner.
I mean, I think it's a platform, honestly. I mean, name another. I mean, even the NFL, you don't see a lot of mascot interaction. You don't see it in the IFL or anywhere else. So maybe the NAL is the platform to get mascots more exposure out there as well.
Yeah, maybe.
And
I haven't even thought about it that way.
We're not. Just so you know, the people outside of our organization aren't the only targets. He went after Coach Smith after Coach Smith decleated him during one game.
Oh,
yeah, there's a
man.
video.
I gotta find this now.
Just tweet Gunner. He may have the video ready.
He's got it loaded.
Yeah, he was coming after me for a couple of weeks after that happened, but it's all good. He's from a coaching standpoint, when you go to places, and I've been blessed to be in parades with him and stuff, and he just makes things. Kids love him. He's a kid magnet, and makes it fun, and he brings out the even adults. He gets them smiling and laughing and interacting, and it's just not just the kids. He brings the best out of everybody, and so when you got a good mascot. It's something to kill that downtime in between timeouts or TV timeouts, media timeouts. It just makes it that much better.
No doubt.
Well, gents, before we let you go, we need to ask you guys, where can the fans find you, social media-wise, for all three of you, or do they want all of them to go to one location, that is Warbirds on Twitter?
Twitter isn't really. We use Facebook a lot more than Twitter. So we're WTX Warbird Football. We're also at warbirdfootball.com. I mean, those are our two main platforms. We do have a Twitter. I mean, if you want to find any three of us, I mean, we don't have any, aliases or anything like that. So if you want to come find us, you know where to look. But yeah, WTX Warbird Football, or all of our handles are the same, WTX Warbirds.
Okay, nice. And we'll be sure, like I said, we're going to be highlighting, of course, season ticket packages and everything. You got the crawl down here on our video, which, by the way, I'll list that off. Call 432-366-3541 or visit warbirdsfootball.com to look and getting your tickets. And you'll see on the screen here is their season ticket package right there that's been posted out. Anything that we need to mention for this for you guys that you want to pay attention for like season tickets or trying to purchase tickets that we're missing?
I mean, honestly, for starters, I don't mean to call you guys out, but the phone number is actually not correct. Okay.
All right, that's my bad then.
No, you're good, man.
That's my bad trying to get fast and trying not to double check my research.
So if anybody calls, they're probably calling, the Ector County Coliseum, and they're like, yeah, well, good luck, kind of a deal. So, and it's warbirdsfootball.com, isn't it, Leif? It's not Warbirds,
Yeah.
Not plural.
I think it'll still take them to a Google search if it comes up on that, though. I think I've got it finally.
Cool.
All right. Well,
yeah,
we'll get
just appreciate everything y'all have been doing and keep up the good work and bringing awareness to the league.
Well, thank you very much. We'll get that sorted out, of course, number-wise and information-wise on our own social medias for you guys, too. And that'll be posted, the correct one, in the description. Guaranteed. We will have those corrected. So if you hear that, go down below, check out your Warbirds over there in Odessa, Texas. If you want to catch some arena football action, true arena football action, by the way. Really the only one in the country that is doing that, and we are glad to say that here on this show. Gentlemen, thank you for your time. Glad to have this as a primer to the West Texas Warbirds for those that are especially want to check out the team, and for those maybe that are on the fence about checking out the team this season over in the Midland communities there. We can't wait to watch you guys play in 2023.